The day I walked out of Hollow Glen Correctional, the sun stabbed my eyes like punishment. Gareth was leaning on his glossy black Mercedes, arms crossed. Jonas clung to Ivy's arm like she was the only mother he'd ever known. 5 years inside, Gareth said. Did you learn your lesson? Jonas chimed in, Aunt Ivy hates dogs. You can't have one anymore. I felt the scar on my wrist throb under the heat. I handed him 2 envelopes, one for divorce, one to disown our son. Where in the world are you listening from right now? If this was your life, would you come back? Hit subscribe for more stories like this. They say prison changes you, but for me the change began long before the cell. It started with love, more precisely the kind of love that begs, bends, and breaks. I was 21 when Gareth Alcott kissed me behind the shuttered church in Hollow Glen. He smelled like lemon gum and ambition enough to fool a girl like me, desperate to believe in fairy tales. He was handsome, broke, and furious with the world. And I was the girl who thought my love could save him. When I got pregnant, I thought we were building a family. Instead, his mother said, a Crestmoor seed in an Alcott tree, shameful. We married anyway, courthouse quick, no pictures, no ring. I sold my Nana's antique ring to pay for Gareth's business cards. I wore Walmart shoes to my baby shower. Then came Ivy Monroe. She was introduced as a family friend, a grief counselor who helped Gareth after his father died. But I noticed how she always showed up when I wasn't around, how her perfume lingered in Gareth's truck, how she told me always sweetly, Gareth is under a lot of pressure. Try not to nag him too much. Still, I trusted her. Even let her babysit Jonas once or twice. Until the day my dog Charlie died. He was a mutt rescued from a ditch with a crooked leg and a heart of gold. Jonas adored him. I raised him alongside my baby boy. Charlie barked once too loud and Ivy screamed it nearly bit her. He was found the next morning in the backyard. Blood, blunt force, broken silence. When I asked Gareth, he shrugged. He was old, maybe a coyote. That night, Ivy brought me soup, beefy, rich, steaming. I took 1 spoonful and paused. She smiled and said, since you love dogs so much, you should taste one. I don't remember grabbing the pot. I only remember the boiling soup splashing across her lap, her scream, and Gareth's voice behind me. Jesus, Delilah, what the hell did you do? They said I attacked her, that I was unstable, that I needed to be corrected. They didn't mention what she did to Charlie, and when I screamed it in court, the judge only sighed. Ivy told me once standing in my kitchen while stirring tea, you don't deserve this family, Delilah, and you never will. I thought she was jealous. I didn't realize she was right. The car ride was silent, not the peaceful kind. The kind where air gets heavier the longer no one speaks. Jonas sat in the back seat pressed tight against Ivy. She had one manicured hand stroking his hair, the other holding her phone. He didn't look at me, not once. Gareth adjusted the mirror and glanced at me. You don't have to be so tense, he said. Ivy insisted we pick you up. She thought it'd be healing. Ivy turned around with a too wide smile. I wanted Jonas to see his mom, right, sweetheart? Jonas finally looked at me, and in that second I thought just maybe he'd smile. He didn't. Instead, he said, can I still call her mom? And Ivy chuckled softly. You can call me whatever makes you comfortable. My throat tightened, not with tears, with clarity. I was out of prison, but still locked out of my own son's life. When we pulled into Gareth's new house, 3 stories of glass and stone, all sharp lines and expensive silence, I hesitated. Ivy unbuckled her seatbelt and turned to me. Delilah, I want to say I'm sorry, she began. Her voice was soft, rehearsed, for everything that happened before. I was scared. That dog. It lunged at me. I reacted badly. She reached out as if to touch my hand. I stepped back. Gareth sighed behind her. If it's about the dog again, he looked at Jonas. Hey buddy, what do you say we get your mom a new one? Jonas tilted his head. Aunt Ivy doesn't like dogs. Gareth laughed like it was cute. Well, maybe a goldfish then. The woman who helped beat my dog to death now ran the household. The man who used my love like currency now offered pets as apology. And the boy I nearly died giving birth to. He wouldn't even call me mom. The front door opened automatically. Jonas ran inside hand in hand with Ivy. Their laughter echoed through marble and steel. Gareth stayed back a moment, holding the door for me. You're quiet. I met his eyes. Even a dog wags its tail when it sees its owner. He frowned. What's that supposed to mean? I walked past him. It means your son forgot who his mother is. I didn't stay the night. While Gareth and Ivy played house and Jonas tucked himself in with bedtime stories, I never got to read him. I slipped out. No one noticed. No one asked. The gates of my childhood home were chained shut. a crude sign reading, "For sale by owner," swinging in the wind. But the side window, the one behind the hedges, was still as broken as I remembered. I climbed over, scraping my wrist on rusted nails. Didn't bleed. I think I was too numb for that now. Inside, everything smelled of dust and rot. The air was thick with memories: Dad's cologne, Mom's rosemary bread, Micah's laughter down the hallway. But that was before. Now only coldness remained, and silence. My room had been gutted. The dresser was gone. The mirror cracked. The wallpaper peeled like shedding skin. But I knew exactly where to look. Behind the headboard, taped to the wall with trembling fingers years ago, was a bundle of envelopes. My old love letters to Gareth. I remember writing them when he left town for job interviews. Long, desperate ramblings about how I missed him, how I believed in him, how we'd build something real. I hadn't expected them to still be here. With a sigh, I opened the first. Tucked inside bills, folded tightly and tucked between phrases like, "You're my everything," and "Come home to me." I blinked, opened another, more cash. And then another. Micah. It had to be him. After Gareth froze our family's accounts. After he sent our parents spiraling into debt. Micah must have converted what little he could and hid it here, knowing I might come back. He never said goodbye when I was sentenced. I thought he was ashamed of me. Turns out he was saving me. I collapsed onto the dusty mattress, envelopes fanned around me like broken wings. The words I once wrote to a man who ruined me now carried the money that might rebuild me. I read one last line. "Mom, if you find this, don't go back to them. Rebuild. Quietly." I tore the letter in half. Then the next. Then every single one. Until all that was left was a pile of shredded paper, and a silence so loud it finally felt like freedom. I shouldn't have gone. But the school still had me listed as Jonas's mother, and the official email came with bright colors and cheerful fonts. "Dear parent, we invite you to Jonas Alcott's class presentation." I clicked RSVP before I could stop myself. When I arrived, Ivy was already there. She sat in the front row, white dress, pristine pearl earrings in place, arms folded gently over a monogrammed tote bag. When she saw me, her smile didn't falter. It just tilted as if amused. Jonas was standing near the smartboard chatting with classmates. Until he saw me. His expression shifted quick as a slap. He whispered something to the boy next to him and marched toward Ivy. I stayed near the door. The teacher began with warm greetings. "Today our students will share their drawings about family." Parents clapped. Ivy leaned into Jonas, brushing his hair to one side. When it was Jonas's turn, he held up a picture of 3 stick figures. "Dad, Aunt Ivy, him. No dog. No fourth figure. My family is small," he said loud and proud. "Just me, Dad, and Aunt Ivy." A pause. Then in the kind of voice only a 5-year-old can muster. "That lady at the back, she's not my mom." Heads turned. A few gasps. I didn't move. Celie, one of the girls from the shelter, ran up to me with a smile. "Bianca," she whispered, forgetting not to use my nickname here. "I saved you a seat next to me." She pulled my hand. Jonas saw. He frowned. Then out of nowhere he shoved her. Hard. Celie fell backward, landed on her hands with a yelp. The room went dead quiet. I rushed forward, helped her up. Dirt on her dress. Elbows scraped. Eyes wide with embarrassment. I looked at Jonas. His little chest heaved. "She's a thief," he shouted. "She's stealing my mom." Ivy gasped, hand to her mouth. "Oh, Jonas, sweetheart, don't say that." The teacher knelt by Celie, fussing over the scrape. Parents murmured some, glancing my way like I had orchestrated the whole thing. A woman whispered, "That's the ex-con, right?" Another added. No wonder the child's confused. I wanted to defend Celie, to call out the boy I once called my son. But all I did was gently smooth Celie's hair and whisper, "You're okay. You're safe." Because that was all I could be now. Not his mother. Just someone else's safe place. I left Gareth's house the same way I entered it, quietly, uninvited, and unseen. Ivy didn't try to stop me. Gareth muttered something about getting back to work. Jonas barely looked up from his tablet. I checked into a local boarding shelter for women, but that only lasted a week. Too many broken stories in one hallway. Too many mirrors I wasn't ready to face. Then I remembered Celie, and the little orphanage she lived in, run by an older woman named Miss Elva, who cooked with too much pepper and sang while folding laundry. She offered me a cot in exchange for helping with meals and tutoring. It felt like exile at first, but exile is a funny thing. It gives you space to breathe. The kids didn't know my past, or if they did, they didn't care. They only cared that I showed up, every morning, every night. Celie clung to me the most. She started calling me Mom by accident, then by choice. And one day when I braided her hair for a school event, she said, "You're better than a real mom because you chose me." I cried in the bathroom for 15 minutes after that. But peace doesn't last in a town as small and poisoned as Hollow Glen. Jonas started showing up at the school gates, waiting outside in his polished shoes and pressed collar, eyes scanning the crowd until he spotted Celie walking beside me. Sometimes he said nothing. Other times he scowled and ran back to Ivy's car. Until one Friday, Celie handed me something. A folded crayon-colored card with a crooked heart on the front. Inside the words were barely spelled right. "Happy Mother's Day. I made this for you. I'm sorry." Signed, Jonas. Celie looked up hopeful. "Should I tell him you liked it?" I shook my head slowly. "This card wasn't for me, sweetheart. He made it for Ivy." Then gently I folded it closed and handed it back. "Give it to her." Celie looked confused, but she didn't ask questions. Children know when not to pry. She slipped the card into her backpack, and we walked home hand in hand. One mother forgotten, one found, and one still pretending she was owed anything. The envelope was thick. Delivered by a lawyer too clean-shaven to understand what filth he carried. Inside Gareth's latest attempt at control, a legal summons disguised as parental concern. Returned to the family home for Jonas's emotional well-being. It read, "Failure to comply may result in court intervention regarding custody. Custody of a child who spat my name like venom, who called another woman mom and shoved a girl to the ground in jealousy. I didn't yell. Didn't call the lawyer names. I simply slid 2 documents across the table, each notarized and final. The first, divorce. The second, relinquishment of parental rights." He blinked, unsure if he could accept them. "I don't want property," I said. "I don't want child support. I want silence." He took the papers, left, didn't say goodbye, but someone else heard. Ivy. 3 days later, she cornered me at a coffee shop near the school. Her lipstick was perfect. Her rage was not. "You think this ends with you walking away?" she hissed, voice low but shaking. "Who the hell do you think you are?" I didn't answer. She reached across the table, took the mug from my hand, and before I could move, scalding tea sloshed across my face and shoulder. A hiss of pain, a moment of stunned silence. Jonas just outside the window froze mid-step, his eyes locked with mine. I slowly dabbed my skin with a napkin. The sting was sharp, but not unfamiliar. This wasn't the first time Ivy had burned me. It would be the last I allowed it. I stood, met her shaking hands and pitiful excuses with one glance, and walked away. Not a word, not a sound, just silence. And her reflection warping in the cafe glass, cracked and ugly, just like the truth. I didn't go to the police. Not yet. I knew how this town worked, how Gareth's money silenced whispers, how Ivy's charm rewrote history. So I did what they'd never expect. I waited. And while I waited, I built. Late at night, I sat at the old kitchen table in Miss Elva's orphanage, sorting through everything they'd once used against me, my court documents, transcripts from my trial, handwritten notes Ivy gave the judge as character references, emails Gareth sent to Micah bragging about sealing the deal. They thought I didn't know. That 5 years in prison had made me forget. But prison doesn't make you forget. It sharpens your memory like a knife. I scanned everything, organized it into folders. Then I found her. Renee Valentine, a firebrand blogger in Richmond, famous for exposing corruption in small-town law systems. Her headline style was brutal. Mother jailed for boiling soup, mistress walks free. I sent her the documents anonymously. No name, no address, just one line at the end. "And you love justice. So did I," until it turned its back. While that fire lit in the background, I poured fuel closer to home. I began praising Ivy publicly. At PTA meetings, I clapped the loudest. When the school posted about her fundraiser work, I commented, "Such a dedicated mother figure. Jonas is lucky." She lapped it up. She thought I'd been broken, that I'd given up. She even asked if I'd like to assist her at the upcoming parents' gala. I said yes. What she didn't know was that the assistant I brought wasn't a friend. It was Nina, one of the older girls at the orphanage. Quiet, tech-savvy, loyal. I handed her a small recording pin barely the size of a penny. Taught her where to place it under Ivy's podium before the PTA session. "Why are we doing this?" she whispered. I looked her in the eye. Because bullies don't always scream. Sometimes they pour tea and smile while they ruin people. The next day, the meeting began. Ivy wore pearls. Jonas sat in the front row swinging his legs. Nina slipped past unnoticed. What we recorded was worse than I imagined. Ivy, in a moment of frustration, whispered to another parent, "These orphan kids, clingy little gremlins. They ruin the vibe of the school." The parent laughed, but the mic didn't. The mic heard everything. That same evening, I sent the clip to the school board and blind carbon copied it to every local news outlet in Hollow Glen. 2 hours later, Ivy's reputation was leaking faster than her concealer. And I hadn't even started with Gareth yet. The fallout came faster than I expected. By noon the next day, Ivy's name had been pulled from the PTA's public page. The school board issued a soft statement about investigating concerns regarding parental conduct. It wasn't an apology, but it was a start. The Hollow Glen Moms group on Facebook lit up with debates. Half defended her. She's done so much for the art auction. The other half asked, so what exactly does she think of our adopted kids? By sunset, Ivy locked her comments section. By sunrise, Jonas was sitting alone at recess. Seeley told me he asked to play with the twins, but they said their mom told them not to. She looked confused, not triumphant, just sad. He was mean, she added, but I don't think he knows how not to be. I didn't answer, because she was right. The next blow didn't come from me. It came from Gareth's business partner who pulled out of a real estate deal citing unwanted press visibility. The firm issued a bland PR note, but everyone in town already knew. Ivy's voice had echoed louder than she ever intended, and Gareth's empire had cracks now. Public, visible, bleeding money. Still I remained silent. No gloating, no confrontation. Just presence. I showed up to the spring recognition ceremony with Seeley. She wore a navy blue dress and a flower crown made of baby's breath. When they called her name, she stepped on stage to receive her Kindness Star of the Year ribbon. She looked so small up there, so proud. In the back row, Jonas slouched beside Ivy. He wasn't called. His name was missing from the slideshow. For once, no one clapped for him. Ivy noticed me in the crowd. Her face crumpled at the edges, smiling too hard, waving too much. Jonas spotted Seeley running down from the stage into my arms. She wrapped both arms around me and yelled loud enough for everyone. Mom, I got it. I really got it. I felt dozens of eyes shift in our direction. Felt Jonas's shoulders stiffen. I didn't say anything, just hugged her tight. Ivy tried to pull Jonas toward the exit. He resisted, looked back, looked right at me. There was something in his face I hadn't seen in years. Not anger, not defiance. Just ache. But it was too late for ache. On the walk home, Seeley tugged at my sleeve. Are you proud of me? I smiled. More than you know. She paused. Even though I'm not your real daughter. I stopped walking. Knelt to meet her eyes. You're mine in all the ways that matter. That night I lit a candle by the window. Not for Gareth. Not for Ivy. Not even for Jonas. For Micah. Wherever he was, I hoped he knew his sister had finally rebuilt. Quietly, completely, without mercy but with peace. It was a Tuesday. Rain tapping on the tin roof of the orphanage like nervous fingers. Breakfast was leftover cornbread and overripe strawberries. Seeley spilled milk and laughed so hard she got hiccups. I was wiping her chin when I heard the knock. 3 soft raps, then a pause, then one more. When I opened the door, Jonas was standing there soaked through, hair clinging to his cheeks, a small Pokemon backpack over one shoulder. Hi, he said. I didn't answer. He looked down at his shoes. Can I stay here just for a while? Behind him, the rain blurred the road. No car in sight. Where's Ivy? I asked. He shrugged. Home, I think. I left a note. My stomach turned, but I kept my face still. Why are you here, Jonas? He hesitated, bit his lip. Then I saw the video, the one you sent, of Aunt Ivy. My breath caught. She lied. A lot, he whispered. She told me you hurt the dog for no reason, that you hated me. But that's not true. He looked up. I remember you used to sing to me at night. About the stars, Ivy never sings. The door stayed between us. I was quiet for so long, he said almost defensively. I ran away, didn't I? Doesn't that mean I'm sorry? It means you're scared, I said, and tired of pretending. But it doesn't mean you're ready. He blinked. Then the sound of wheels crunching gravel. A car pulled up. Gareth stepped out, umbrella in hand, fury on his face. Get away from her, he shouted at Jonas. What were you thinking? Jonas flinched, took one step back but not toward his father. Gareth marched up to the porch. This is your fault, he spat at me, turning him against us again. I crossed my arms. You didn't need my help doing that. He pointed a finger. You think you've won that card stunt? That blog trash. Those were facts, I said calmly. Just because you ignored them doesn't make them fake. Gareth turned to Jonas. Get in the car. Jonas shook his head. Gareth's voice dropped to a growl. Now. Seeley appeared behind me, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Jonas looked at her, then at me, and for the first time he stepped forward. Not to run, not to beg, just to stand beside me. I'm not going, he said. Gareth's jaw clenched. I didn't touch Jonas, didn't smile. Just said, you lost me long before I left. And now you've lost him too. He stormed off, splashing through puddles. I shut the door. Inside, Jonas asked, will I sleep on the couch? Not tonight, I said. He gave a small, grateful nod. Later that week, Gareth sent another lawyer, still refusing to sign the divorce papers, still believing he could wear me down. So I changed tactics. Renee Valentine, the blogger I'd fed my truth to, invited me for a live stream, titled, How a Town Buried a Mother and How She Dug Herself Out. I agreed. At the end of the stream, I looked into the camera and said, he tried to erase me, but I rebuilt without him. And now I erase him. The clip went viral, not for the drama, but for the calm. The way I said it, like I wasn't angry, just done. 2 days later, Gareth signed. No note, no apology, just silence, which coming from him was the closest thing to an admission of guilt I'd ever get. Jonas didn't cheer. He just hugged Celie tight that night and whispered, "We're okay now, right?" She smiled. "We're better than okay. We've got a real mom." And for the first time in years, I believed it too. A year passed. The town moved on because it always does. Gareth sold the house on Riverbend Hill. Rumor says he moved to Georgia. No one noticed when Ivy disappeared. No one missed her either. I stayed, in the same creaky orphanage with Celie and 6 other children who now called my name before bed. Not mom, not yet, but something better safe. Celie's adoption was finalized in spring. She wore a crown of wildflowers to court. I wore the same gray coat I came home from prison in just to remind myself how far we'd walked. Jonas didn't live with us. He was sent to a nearby boarding school, half Gareth's punishment, half my decision. But he wrote messy scrawls on lined paper with ink smudges and too many ellipses. His first letter began, "I know I don't deserve anything, but I wanted to say thank you. Not for what you gave me, but for what you didn't take away." I didn't write back. Not out of hate, out of mercy. Sometimes silence is the cleanest form of love. The last letter arrived on my birthday. No return address. Just a small folded note and 1 sentence inside. "And thank you for letting me start over." I folded it, tucked it in the same drawer where I kept Micah's hidden bills. The past didn't disappear. It just finally stopped bleeding into the future. And in that quiet, I found something sharper than revenge. Peace. What would Reddit say? Was I too cruel or finally free? Drop your vote below. Subscribe for more stories of betrayal, justice, and rebirth.